Alright, so let's start with a warm-up example. A computer was recently purchased for a small business for $2,000. The business manager predicts that the computer will be used for 5 years, and the value in Y dollars of the computer in X years is given by Y equals negative 300X plus 2,000. So let's complete the table. So the X represents the number of years, and the Y represents the value of the computer at that time. So it makes sense at the very beginning, you go plug in, replace the X with 0, you'll get negative 300 times 0 plus 2,000. That comes out to be 2,000. Which makes sense that X equals 0 would mean right now, and that's, you purchased the computer for $2,000. So it makes sense that the Y is 2,000. After 1 year, I would have negative 300 times 1 plus 2,000. That's the same thing as saying 2,000 minus 300, so that's 1,700. So after 1 year, the computer would be worth $1,700. After 2 years, this would be 2,000 minus 600 is 1,400. And then you can see that this is an arithmetic sequence. So 2,000, 1,700, 1,400, 1,100, 800, 500. So after 5 years, the computer would be worth $500. All right, so take a moment to look at these graphs, where a horizontal axis represents time. So the first graph at the top there is a graph that starts at the origin and then moves upwards. The second graph is below the x-axis and is horizontal. And the third graph is on the positive y-axis and going downwards. So looking at these three graphs, which graph might represent the distance traveled by you if you're walking? So if you're measuring the distance you're traveling, you would start at 0, and as you keep walking, your distance would be increasing. So that increasing tells me that's going to be the first graph would represent that situation. Which graph might represent the temperature in your freezer? I would expect the temperature in the freezer to be below freezing, and I would expect it to be more or less stable. That would match with that graph there in the middle. And which graph might represent the amount of gasoline in a moving car's tank? Well, I would expect there to be at least some gas in the tank, and it would be decreasing over time as the car is moving. So the decreasing suggests it's that third graph. To be able to answer these questions, you probably use the concept of slope. In mathematics, slope is a real number that measures the tilt or angle of a line. So suppose a line passes through the points, we say x1, y1, and x2, y2. The rise or change in y is basically the difference of the y values, y2 minus y1. And the run, or the change in x, is the difference of the x values, x2 minus x1. The slope is given by the formula of, for some reason we use the symbol m, but m is equal to rise over run, which is the change in the y values divided by the change in the x values, or specifically, y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. Alright, so let's use these points to find the slope of the line and then interpret the slope in terms of rise and run. It doesn't matter which one you choose, but let's say that this first point is x1, y1, and the second point is the x2, y2. So the slope is going to be y2, which would be negative 2 minus 1, over 3 minus negative 3. That becomes negative 3 over 6, which is negative 1/2. And so the rise, which is negative 1, that basically tells you that you go down 1. The run, which is positive 2, positive in terms of run is the horizontal, so think of positive as to the right. Oops, to the right. 2. And what that means is you take any point on the line, so let's take that as negative 3, 1. I go down 1 and then to the right 2, I'm back on the line. I go down 1 to the right 2, I'm back on the line. So you can think of rise and run as basically directions to get you from one point on the line to another point on the line. All right, now let's find the slope going through 2578 and negative 1846. So again, we choose one point to be x1, y1, and the other one to be x2, y2. Again, it doesn't really matter which one you choose to be which. M is going to be difference of y's, so 46 minus 78 over negative 18 minus 25. 78 minus 46 is 32, but it's going to be negative. And then the bottom would be negative 43, which negative divided by negative is positive, so I can write this as 32 over 43. So the slope is 32 over 43.